there's a reckoning coming.
Did the Jays lose yesterday?
No, they didn't.
Oh. They didn't play, did they?
Blair and Barker. No, the Jays had yesterday off. They'll play the Washington Nationals tonight. It's an Apple game, so it starts at 6:40. 6:45, whatever. We'll be along after the game. You can catch it here, by the way, on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. And we'll be along after the game doing Blue Jays talk.
Yay.
Yeah, we're a little.
Well, I mean,
this is a Friday. I'll say
Patrick
that
Corbin
to you
is the worst pitcher in baseball. How do you think that's going to go?
They're going to sweep the series.
Okay, but
normally on a Friday. Yeah, you don't believe me?
It's hard to sweep a team, especially when you're having trouble hitting. Yeah, it's hard. It's real tough.
The Maple Leafs have me feeling.
It's not the Leafs.
The Leafs have me feeling optimistic.
They're not the Leafs.
The Leafs have got this series wrapped up so much. I don't even know why they I don't even know why they're playing the game against Boston this Saturday. I think it'll be like 3-0 Leafs. 3-0. That's about right.
You're on your own, buddy.
Yeah, no one. I don't know what it is about the city and the Leafs. It's almost like there's a historical thing happening here. Anyhow, normally on a Friday, we're joined by the manager of the Blue Jays, John Schneider.
Wow. Just noticing that shirt on TV. That's pretty awesome. The shirt you got. Look at it. Wait. Can't see it. I'm the only one on TV. Anyway, sorry, it was sparkling. I've never seen that shirt before. It's a nice shirt.
It's sparkling?
It is. If they show it.
Anyhow,
there it is. See, look.
Oh, I think maybe it's the wrong. Yeah, maybe the wrong texture.
Sharp. I like it.
Anyhow. Normally, John Schneider joins us on a Friday.
What happened, Jeff?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there. This is, there's a crisis going on with the Blue Jays, et cetera, et cetera. About 10 o'clock this morning, John Schneider reached out to us through the Jays PR department to say that he wasn't going to do his weekly hit with us. Now, I think part of the thing at work here is it's a family trip, and he's got his family on the road, and
that's one reason.
And that's I have no problem having
absolutely not
having spent a lot of time in the road. You tell me that your family's with you, and I'm like, just throw the cell phone in the toilet.
That's not the first thing I thought of, though, when he told me.
Well, no, it wasn't the first thing I thought about either.
That's not what
then
I
read
thought.
Ken Rosenthal's column about there's a reckoning near for the Blue Jays. We'll talk about that later on. But anyhow, and in addition to that, and credit John. John also said, "Well, I'll see you next week." But he also mentioned that they've got pre-series meetings, which is true, and that they have got multiple moves to make. Now, we know that they are, and I'm sure the manager wants to be part of the breaking of the news to the players, right? You would think.
Well, I'd be shocked it hadn't happened already.
So anyhow, the moves, we know that Nathan Lucas is up with the Blue Jays for whatever reason. There is a possibility that Alek Manoah starts on Sunday. Now, maybe they make that move now. I don't know why you would. You don't really have to. Why wouldn't you hang on to your reliever for an extra 2 days before you do it? Or maybe that's part of the decision-making anyhow. So there are a couple of things at work with the Blue Jays moving. And, of course, when it comes to, like we were talking about, okay, if you're going to make 2 roster moves, you can't send Zach Pop down right away, I don't think. Brent, I don't know. Can't send Brendan. How long's Brendan Little been up?
He's been up long enough. You could send him.
Okay, Brendan Little could be the guy. And, of course, if Nathan Lucas is called up, you're looking at possibly Daniel Vogelbach or Addison Barger. Nathan Lucas can play the outfield. There's some utility to him. I mean, look, he's a guy this organization likes. They've hung on to him forever. And
bat-to-ball skill guy. He can play the outfield. He's a good base runner. He could steal a base late in the game. Like, he could probably do, some things that right now they're having trouble doing in certain spots. So It's not going to hurt them.
Well, I don't know if we've ever seen that, but
It's not going to hurt them. That's because he didn't play a lot.
That's what the organization has said. That's his.
I believe the organization.
That's his. That's his MO.
Yeah.
So anyhow, there we are. But we will have a show for you. Kevin Frandsen, Washington Nationals TV analyst, will join us, and this will be fun because we're referring to Ken Rosenthal's column in The Athletic, and he does kind of a deeper dive into the Blue Jays issues right now, laying out all the possibilities. And as I've always told people, when it comes to all things Mark Shapiro, I absolutely trust Ken Rosenthal 160% because, Rosenthal covered the Baltimore Orioles. I think Rosenthal covered baseball before I covered it. You'd never know what to look at him. He still looks like he's 29 years old. But so from Baltimore, he and the Shapiro family go all.
Yeah, I mean, just by looking at what they don't have, this is not hard to come up with what he was saying today.
But it's anything else.
Don't have to ask people to know that.
It's anything else, right? Jeff Blair says, hey, you know what? The Jays are getting to the point where they've got to make some serious decisions. Ken Rosenthal says it, and, people are talking about it, and that's fair.
I get it.
But Ken's article, walks through all the scenarios. They've got a ton of people leaving in free agency. We've talked about that. He mentions firing the manager. His point, the same thing we've talked about. At some point, you got to stop firing managers and look at the general manager. I mean, they've run managers through here.
They're there.
They've run managers through here.
Yep.
More than most AL East teams, and enough's enough in that. Anyhow, Ken Rosenthal runs through all these scenarios with the Blue Jays. Points out that, of course, Vladdy and Bo are eligible for free agency at the end of next year. So is Jordan Romano. This year, Danny Jansen and Justin Turner, Kevin Kimmer. He goes through the whole scenario. But the reason I bring that up is, the Washington Nationals had to make a decision on Juan Soto, right? And the Washington Nationals basically, it's not that they ransacked the San Diego Padres minor league system, but you're going to see a guy tonight, C.J. Abrams, who's really good. They did well on that deal. And, we're at that point where we've got to have that discussion with Vladdy and Bo. I mean, honestly, I would think this is just me, if the Jays were in first place right now, we'd only be delaying the discussion. As long as you're not going to re-sign those two guys, at some point the rubber has to meet the road. Unless you want to lose both of them for nothing, which to me would be not a very good use of your assets.
Nope.
So anyhow, we'll talk to Kevin Frandsen about that. He's a Nationals TV analyst. AJ Pierzynski is co-host of Foul Territory. He will join us as well. We've got all sorts of things we want to talk to. Him about, and maybe José Berríos will join us. He was named American League Pitcher of the Month for April.
He's earned that.
Which is terrific.
Absolutely
He's earned it. So, and that's probably between tonight's starter, Yusei Kikuchi, and José Berríos. If you are looking for something to hang your hat on as a Jays fan, those two guys, plus, the fact that the rest of the rotation is they've kept it together in an okay manner. Those are the things you're hanging your hat on right now. I mean, of course, the reason I wanted to have John Schneider on is I wanted to find out what's going to happen to Alek Manoah. Is he going to get another start in the minors, or is he going to get a start?
Where's Joey Votto?
In the majors. Well, apparently now, I was reading someplace, apparently Joey Votto is doing baseball activities. He's just not playing yet.
It's odd.
I'm hoping.
Was that bad?
I'm hoping we're not waiting for Joey Votto to come and save the day, like Superman cape and the whole thing, fly in and save the day. I hope we're not at that point yet. Joey Votto will be a very nice 25th, 26th guy. But anyhow. And, of course, the topic is always, for the past couple of weeks, is the lineup. Is there a point in time where the Blue Jays stop just running out George Springer at the leadoff spot and change things up?
Yeah, you look
There's a lot to talk to the skipper about.
The next 25 games, 17 of those 25 are against the Nationals, the Rays, the White Sox. They have 6 against the White Sox.
Yep.
They have Detroit and they have Pittsburgh. Like, those are the 17, right, that you got to get healthy on. You can hide some of your woes against some teams that are not as good as you are. And I think right now, even Chris Bassett came out and said that they've been facing some good teams.
They have. I mean, if you look at the records, they have. But
you got to be good against everybody. If you're a playoff team, you got to be better against everybody.
Yeah.
You can't be at the bottom of everything offensively, numbers-wise, and think you're going to compete against anybody.
No,
but it would be, a little bit easier, to face some teams that aren't as good at locating, pitching to your weaknesses, like those kind of things. Maybe you get healthy, maybe you can get confident. Bo's thinking he needs to carry an offense. He doesn't hit, they don't win. Vladdy thinks the same way. Maybe they can figure it out. Seems to be like one of them two is going to have to start hitting.
You know what?
Or this season ain't going to go the way you want it to go.
I mean, the thing about what Chris Bassett said, it'd be with all due respect, if you're looking at 2 wins in 7 games against the Kansas City Royals, who are a good team, and going, well, I mean, if the Kansas City Royals are out of your league, as good as they are, I like your chances in the playoffs. I mean, if you're sitting there saying, boy, we can't wait to tie into the White Sox, that's great. Tie into a bunch of teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. That might get you to 500.
Yeah, maybe he's not talking about the playoffs. Maybe he's talking about just making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's talking about.
The Houston Astros.
Pedigree and getting people back that matter to their team. The Blue Jays are not like that.
But they didn't have that.
The Blue Jays are not like that.
But they didn't have that when they were facing the Blue Jays.
I know you're trying to make excuses and
no, I'm
say
not.
that whatever he said is not right. It sounded to me like it was spot on.
I'm not making excuses for him. I'm saying they should have been able to beat the Astros.
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to tell you.
They should have been able to beat Kansas City.
I think that's why he is saying that a lot of guys in that locker room are not happy where they're at. I mean, sometimes it's us saying it, us thinking it, fans saying it. They're thinking it. It's another thing to hear an actual guy in the clubhouse that matters saying it out loud. I like it. I like him coming out and saying that. And
the schedule's too tough, basically.
Well, I mean, but basically he is saying there's just a combination of a bunch of things, and dudes need to get it going and step up a little bit more. I think that's his point. And to that point, the schedule is getting a little softer, where they're facing some teams that maybe offensively, just again, like, we can talk about this and yell and scream. The first 4 guys, at least one of the 2, Vladdy or Bo, needs to get hot. It just seems to me like it is the 4 guys, but really it's one of the 2 guys that need to really get it going. It just seems like they are the everything when it comes to feeling right, following. Just the mojo's better. More people are having fun when one of them 2 are hitting. And hopefully, again, one of those 2 can get hot and help a team win a few more baseball games, and maybe it'll help that they face lesser teams. Are they lesser? I guess. The Nationals run all over the place. They're second in baseball in stolen bases. They run all over the place.
Listen, I was
job.
When I said the Jays are going to sweep the Nationals, I'm kind of half kidding here. But the Nationals. The Nationals can do a lot of things that bother the Jays. Now, the pitching matchups are Kikuchi against Corbin, Gausman against Jake Irvin, and then Mackenzie Gore on Sunday against, TBC. Could be Alek Manoah.
I would think it's Alek. Yeah, Gore's a left-hander that throws very hard. Irvin's a guy that's very hard on right-handed hitters, and Corbin's the worst pitcher in baseball. So, again,
statistically is not right now.
His ERA is almost 7. Righties are hitting 347. Yeah, he's not real good.
Well, you say he's the worst pitcher.
I mean, I joke. I haven't went back and looked at stats to sort of back that up. But a lefty making that much money's got an ERA of close to 7.
That is one.
And righties and lefties are hitting well over 350 against him. He ain't real good.
That is let's
not say it any other way.
That is one of the really, really, really.
So
really,
get healthy.
Really bad contracts.
Try and get healthy. So that's my point. Is look right down the middle. Don't overthink this thing. Can they do that?
The Nationals deal in 2022, they traded Juan Soto, Josh Bell to the Padres for Robert Hassel III, Jarlin Susana, James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore is starting Sunday, and Luke Voigt. And the reason I'm mentioning that deal is, I think a lot of people, when they look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and they think about potential moves, you're not going to get the same thing Washington got for Juan Soto. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Juan's left-handed. He had better years, younger.
And the other thing I will say about this too, when you start talking about trading from this major league roster, look, this organization's minor league system is not real good right now. Its two best pitchers are hurt. Like, there is a real chance, I think, if you do move one of these guys, that part of the deal you're looking to get, you want to get somebody in that's going to help your minor league system and not help it, but position himself so that maybe he can help you a couple of years.
Yeah. Once you trade one of the two, you punted. Once you've punted, that means, do you really want the GM that's here now doing that? The answer for me is no. Like that would be the first place you'd start, is getting rid of that. If you like the manager or not, I'm assuming the new GM probably wants his own manager, right? So you would think probably that's going to have to come to an end. Like it's a step process, right? You got first steps, and then you go from there. They do have assets. Like, they do have things at the big league level that you can make that minor league system better.
If you wanted to, if you wanted to,
do you want to do that?
If you wanted to punt on the year,
Start with Bo Vladdy. That'd be a punt.
Well, yeah. If you
it would be.
Yeah. Well, let me finish. If you want to punt in the year, I don't think you're going to move both of them. But if you want to punt in the year, Justin Turner would certainly get you something. Danny Jansen would likely get you something if he's healthy. I think, you say Kikuchi.
I think you're packaging that deal. That's not one person getting you two or three people. It's not going to work that way.
Well, no,
you're going to have to add a Yusei and a Danny Jansen together to get you an A-ball or a double-A guy and maybe a big leaguer.
Well, I don't know if
that's you know the point, though. Like, it's going to take a couple of guys to get you sort of what you want.
Kikuchi on his own as a free agent. We've seen in the past that trading free agent pitchers that sometimes you don't get the return you think. But I mean, I can't believe it's God Almighty. It's May 3rd, and we're having this discussion. But again, part of that is because Ken, again, a guy who is really well sourced when it comes to this organization, is certainly suggesting that there are people aware that time's a wasting. And I guess if you're a Blue Jays fan, I guess it's good.
I would think urgency, right? Why haven't we at least heard some rumblings of they're pushing? I don't know, go to a bad team and try and make a trade like Ryan McMahon. That would look good as a Blue Jay. I know it's early, but look, that's the point is, right? It's
any other trades been made so far?
No, but I mean,
I'm just saying.
Didn't do anything in the offseason that helped your team like that. That's the point here is like it's.
Yeah, but you've got the people have this idea. A lot of teams aren't ready to trade right now because.
I mean, you can argue the Rockies are the worst team in baseball.
Maybe.
If not now,
but
when?
Hey, you don't think the Rockies are sitting there saying, you know what? We move one of these guys at the trade deadline.
I don't know.
We might get more.
I don't know. Ryan McMahon's not a very good defender. I mean, he is left-handed. He's a decent hitter. He would fit very well on a certain team, like the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah.
He's a very certain team guy. It's not for everybody.
The deals do not get made this early in the year.
I get you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Is Oakland out of things?
Absolutely. I mean, what are they, 13 and 18 or so? Absolutely, they are. Like, let's not lie about it. They're 15 and 17. Okay. Like, yeah, they are.
But I'm saying if you're, but you people have how many teams do you think they're out of it right now?
I mean, I would
Colorado, Oakland, Chicago.
Yeah, I would think they're not. Obviously, the White Sox
and the Marlins.
That's probably the Marlins.
4 teams.
I'm sure they're probably not going to say it out loud.
Who else is going to trade?
Well, that'd be the teams you'd go after. You wouldn't go after the other teams. That's
right.
That's
Okay.
Do they have any assets on any of those teams? They haven't been doing any
most
digging.
Most of the Marlins pitchers are hurt, aren't they?
Yeah, you're not going for pitching. I don't care about pitching. Blue Jays got pitching. They got nobody can drive in a run or hit 7 homers in a week.
Anyhow,
that's what you want, right?
It's silly talking about trades on May 3rd.
Well, I mean, when Ken brings up those things, you start thinking it's one option or the other option. One of the options is basically tear this thing down and start over. Is that how far? Obviously, he's writing that for a reason. Like, he's obviously had conversations with people that matter.
Yep.
So, are they close enough to even have that conversation? Sounds to me like they are. That's why I said it's a process, right? You got to start at the top and work your way down. That's a little scary to hear. Got to be honest with you. With expectations of not far removed. I mean, last year they were going into the season fighting for a World Series, not just make the play. Now all of a sudden, blowing this thing up, boy, that's. I guess. I guess this is how quickly it happens.
We said going into the year, They could finish anywhere. They're not going to finish
Second or
first.
fifth.
Second to fifth.
Yeah.
We said that. I mean,
It's closer to fifth than second.
And you know what? And there's two other teams in that situation. Boston and Tampa are in the same situation. They could very easily, either of those teams could finish anywhere from second to fifth. Although
it got real. Real quick.
It certainly did.
I just think, you know what it is, too? Nothing
and also,
was done in the
other thing that
offseason.
got real, the other reason it got real really quick is because the Yankees hung in without Garrett Cole. Like that's
Yeah, and with Judge not hitting either.
with Judge not hitting.
Yeah, like they have sort of solidified their runner-up position in the American League East.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because of who's not doing things and who's not there. I mean, I just say, once you say it out loud, it's a little scary. From where they were at beginning of last year, even middle of the season, even going into the end of the season, going into the playoffs, I mean, you would think, right, you get the right guy hot offensively, you score a few more runs, maybe you make a decent run at it, maybe you don't get beat in the first round. Now, all of a sudden, 32 games in, Ken Rosenthal's writing things like, I mean, that got real as an organization, though. Like, just saying that out, listening to you say it out loud with what they don't have that can help them at the big league level when you're calling up Nathan Lucas's of the world. Nothing against him. I was him when I played. But
at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to how much the Jays believe in what their analytics are telling them.
That's another thing.
Is a turnaround imminent? Are they seeing signs, underlying signs? You know, we've seen things.
Wow.
I mean, there are things about this team that have been better. Walk rate, all that stuff. That pitches seen. I mean, if you want to find positives, you can find a few positives. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they have not translated into runs or results.
Yeah.
So, and that's, we just simply don't know. We've never known what their numbers tell them and how those numbers are being interpreted.
Is the information any good? And
I mean, it's probably the same information.
Do the players believe it? That's it. I mean, you got to talk me into it. It's my career. It's not yours. That's
there's
bottom
two
line.
types of information.
You got two dudes in the middle of that order trying to get paid.
There's two types of information. There's stuff that explains why stuff has happened already, and there's stuff that can make you better down the road.
Maybe the information's not any good. I have no idea. I've never seen any of the information. I just know the way.
Seriously,
do you know the way the product looks between the lines when the game starts?
We laugh about it. We laugh about it a lot, and poke fun at it. But I seriously think I would be surprised if they've got a bunch of rockheads sitting there spewing out bad information.
Isn't the big leagues a results-oriented business? Big leagues, not the minor leagues, not the minor leagues. You yell
especially results oriented when you're spending $230 million on your freaking payroll.
You just talked out of both sides of the mouth. Minor leagues process, big leagues not for me. Big leagues because you have an older lineup who has been there and done it before, and obviously has trouble saying, "No, I'm good. I don't really like that. I'm going to go up there and do my own thing." I mean, it's just funny how, again, we had this conversation yesterday about the older guys come in here and they're the best hitters on the team. Why is that? Mm-hmm. Why have you had other guys 4 or 5 years in this system when it comes to the analytics and the information? And it's just not, again, I have no idea what it's like. I'm not behind closed doors. I just know what you see on an everyday basis and how bad it looks. Why? I think that's where you're at. And again, when Ken writes these things, it's like they think the same thing. They're just not telling us that.
Yeah.
That's all.
And frankly,
they don't have to. I mean, they should never. But
hey, it's an interesting.
It is.
It's an interesting topic on a day where
sounds like they're closer than we expected.
It's an interesting topic on a day where we can't talk to the managers, so that kind of lands in our laps. Kevin Frandsen is the Washington Nationals TV analyst. He is also a contributor to MLB Network Radio. It is the Jays and Nationals, the first of 3 games tonight. A reminder, it is a 6:45 first pitch. You can catch it only on Sportsnet 590 The Fan because it's an Apple TV game. What are you looking at me like that for? Kevin et moi will be around following the game for Blue Jays talk, as per usual. And later on in the show, we'll go to the back leg line as well. The number is 416. Sorry, I got off in that little tangent with the Rosenthal.
Wasn't a tangent.
416-413-3959 is a back leg line. We may be tapping into it later on in the show.
We'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
You know what? I'll throw out a question. This should get people talking. Have we reached a reckoning with the current core of the Toronto Blue Jays? You as a fan, have you reached a reckoning? Have we reached a reckoning? 416-413-3959. We'll step away and come back. Kevin Frandsen joins us. We'll take a look at the Washington Nationals, formerly. I should have had my Expos jersey hung up here. Formerly the Montreal Expos and one of Kevin Barker's favorite teams. Not at all. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. 6:45 will be the first pitch tonight. Patrick Corbin, the Washington Nationals, taking on Yusei Kikuchi of Kevin Barker's Toronto Blue Jays.
I'll take him. Never quit.
I'm looking at the Nationals. Good bullpen.
That's okay, bullpen.
Oh, they lead the
Finnegan's 10 out of 11 in saves. I mean, that's good.
136 opponents average.
Yeah.
10 holds. They got a bunch of guys who are, or I shouldn't say a bunch of guys. They've got some, it's an okay bullpen.
It's okay.
They run like hell.
They do. That's their strength, is run.
C.J. Abrams is
their
concern
best player
right now. Yeah. He's a guy they got into San Diego. They got from San Diego in the Juan Soto deal. And another kid they got is at Robert Hassel III is tearing it up at AA as well. So Mackenzie Gore, another guy who came over in that deal, will start Sunday. Again, we have no idea whether Alek Manoah will start Sunday's game. It's clearly an option for this organization. We'll keep you informed as to any breaking news on that matter. We do know that the Blue Jays are making multiple moves before tonight's game. Again, that's nothing to suggest that the multiple moves include a major trade or anything like that. We're talking about Nathan Lucas coming up, and perhaps a roster move to get Alek Manoah on here if, in fact, the organization decides that Alek Manoah does get that start on Sunday. I don't know. I originally think I was like Caleb Joseph. Originally, I would have preferred him to make another start in the minors because I just don't. Well, I'm saying because I just don't. I mean, I don't trust him. I need to see more than one positive sign from him because we thought we saw positive signs from him the last time he was up here, and it didn't work out. But at this point, given Yariel Rodriguez's situation, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what the hell, it makes sense. Like, see if he can run at the major league level. If he does, if Alek Manoah does, now you got some options.
Well, it's either Espino or Manoah. I'd rather have Manoah.
Yeah, I mean, why not? And you know, again, the organization, they know we've never really figured out what exactly has gone on with Alek Manoah, and that's fine. I mean, I don't expect all sorts of state secrets to be released, but this is one of those instances where I trust what the organization's going to do with them because this is a complicated situation that I don't understand, and they got more information than I do. So if they think he's good to go in the majors,
Seems
okay
like they know what they're doing with the pitching side. Offensively is the side that they are really scrambling to try and figure out. But pitching-wise, whether it's writing the big check or making sure that guy's got enough time at the minor league level and throwing enough of the sinker for strikes and, having a good enough shape on the slider and all the things that would give him confidence to get a team out. It is the Nationals. I mean, nothing against them. They are in the, the bottom end of all the stats offensively. So, maybe that would allow him to not have to be as fine against those elite offensive teams and give him some confidence, give him something to build off of. But again, this is not the other four guys' fault. I think they got to remember that. It's not up to the other four just because they got some days off to try and make up for that. And a couple of them guys have gotten off to bad starts.
Yeah.
They
And
need to stick with their routine and try and get in the flow of the
Sure.
season that way. And quite frankly, again, if I'm one of them other 4 guys, I'm raising my hand and going, this ain't my fault. You guys figure it out. Get you another starter up here.
I did.
We've done
if-
enough.
Yeah, if you're one of
How's
those,
that?
if you're one of those other 4 guys, they're going. We did this last
Absolutely.
year. Like we sacked up last year and got us through
You
this.
see what
So,
we have to do every time we start?
Yeah.
We need a mental break. Yeah.
No,
we need to do
I-
our thing. We need 4 days between starts. So yeah, I don't think that'll. I mean, and he looked good. I don't know about you. I watched the video. I talked to people. He looked good. They were happy with him. He seemed to be happy too, which is I think the most important part is they wanted to see some energy and some mental capacity of just he likes what he's doing. He can repeat it, and he went out there and dominated.
I will
trust. Nice.
I will trust people who know what they're looking for when they talk about the shape of the slider, and that seems to have been the overwhelming, like the single technical pitching thing they were looking for was the shape of the slider.
It was the mechanics. It was the conditioning was good enough that he's not falling off so much to the first base side. He's still that way.
He looks great.
He's not a perfect mechanic guy. So he's going to fall off a little. It's just not to the extreme to where he's missing arm side a lot. And it's non-competitive out of the hand. Pitches go up, and then he falls off the cliff. It didn't look that way. That's why they were saying they were impressed with the shape and the command of the two-seamer, and he's got confidence. Call him up and let him pitch.
Well, further to
further
the whole idea that some hard decisions might need to be made for this organization. If Alek Manoah can come back and be your 5th starter, be good enough to take a regular
big leaguer.
Yes, be good enough to take a regular turn in the rotation. That does free your hand to maybe move Yusei Kikuchi earlier than you otherwise would.
Oh, Jeff.
Well, again,
get crazy.
You don't agree? If you're
Perfect scenario, no. That's what makes this team roll. And there's been 2 bright spots.
We've talked about though. We've talked about if the team is punting. It's easier. Yeah. It's easier to punt if Alek Manoah is in your rotation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But once they start,
that's the whole point.
Once they start punting, they're gonna punt. Like you just can't nibble at it and throw one guy out and one guy here. No.
Yeah.
Just if you're going, go.
Kevin Frandsen is the Washington Nationals TV analyst. He's also an MLB Network radio contributor. He joins us in Blair and Barker. Kevin, good of you to do this, man. I got to deal with 2 Kevins, so that's good. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing this, bro.
What's up, boys?
How you doing?
You guys all good?
Good.
Yeah,
How are you?
We're doing well, man. Better than the team.
It was a fun road trip. Miami, Texas, and score 2 runs. Get in Texas and get 1 win. I think that was pretty damn good for the Nats.
Hey, tell us about, there's a lot to talk about with this team, but tell us, first of all, about CJ Abrams, because we spent time, we're at the point in Toronto right now where they got a decision to make with Bo and Vladdy, and it's kind of similar to what you guys had to do with Juan Soto in some ways. Different players, I understand that. But, I look at CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore we're going to see Sunday, and I know there are Jays fans thinking, man, if we could put together a deal that was something like that, and again, Juan Soto is a different cat than those other 2 guys. But I'm interested in C.J. Abrams because he seems to have just turned into a growing concern or a going concern.
Yeah, he's a star. More than anything, he's a star. I feel like when you've been in the game long enough, I'm not going to sit here I feel like I know the game well, playing the game for a long time, and then doing this stuff. I feel like you get a good grasp on things, and to understand and see a guy make the necessary adjustments that he needed to make, to watch him grow in that time and become this is like that to me is the most satisfying thing. I mean, he is absolutely tremendous. And look, it was a great first month.
Mm-hmm.
It's the next part is, can you do it for 2? Can you do it for 3? Can you do, you know what I mean? So we've seen nothing but, since about last, let's say mid-July, the stars gotten brighter for him as he's gotten more and more comfortable. He's, at some point, I don't know if he's going to be a leadoff guy, because I feel like the power is a real thing. And I don't know how they're going to, the Nats in general are going to have to use him. But, man, you talk about watching the guy slow the game down in the moment where the game was speeding up quite a bit early on. It's awesome. It's because look, let's be honest here. I'm very honest on air. There's a lot of guys in my position that don't. They just try to play the whole. I'm gonna do everything right and say everything right for the organization because that's who provides it. I take it from the baseball perspective. And the baseball perspective is there's nothing better than watching a young kid grow and become this, who has mistakes, who makes those mistakes, but yet learns from them. That to me is the most important part about our game in general. And CJ's done just that.
Kevin, do you think the front office watches games like you watch them when it just comes to what you just mentioned? Because that's intriguing, right? An organization going through sort of what the Nationals are going through. How do you sort of grade? Do you think the front office tries to grade players to see if they fit into their future? I think that's how I want to ask it.
Ooh, I would hope so. I'm not going to ever speak on a part of Mike Rizzo and his team because do I know them? Yes, very well. But I'm not going to speak on how they grade them because I don't know. They're very tight-lipped on that, which is fantastic because I think we get a little loose-lipped on a lot of things from front offices, right? Yep. At times. I think they are very honest. And I think, like every organization, every front office, we could say has problems, right? And the problems usually are that you fall in love with someone and you could fall in love with someone and it could be the wrong person or it could be the right person, but at the wrong time. I don't know. But I feel like the patience that they had with CJ is one thing. So like that's the part that I would grade them highly on, because if you saw the early struggles of CJ Abrams, you would have been like, uh-oh, the panic would have set in. Kev, you know that. I mean, like people just rush to judgment right away. And instead they let it play out. They let a kid grow. They let a kid and maybe because of the Juan Soto deal, right? Maybe they allowed it a little bit more. But I think they need to be given credit for the fact that like they didn't panic and say he couldn't play at the big league level because he struggled early. And that to me is a big part. I mean, this is a kid that he barely played in the minor leagues. Barely. And now he's getting an opportunity. He's got more run in the big leagues than he ever did in the minor leagues. It's crazy to think at 23 years old.
Is there an organizational theme like the Blue Jays are telling hitters at the big league level to only swing at what you can do damage on? Is there something that's floating around the Nationals big league team that, I don't know, could be both sides of the ball, could be pitching like, right, you're wanting action in 3 pitches. You want to try and, use your breaking ball more. Is there some kind of theme that you sort of on an everyday basis talk about in your job?
Strike one's huge for them, for the organization. And I feel like the other organization doesn't matter. It's about stuff because they got the guys with stuff. And I feel like with the organization, it's in general, they have plenty of guys to get swing and miss. But at the big league level, it's about getting strike one. And then Riz had a message at the during spring training in every bullpen, and I think most people would love it. I think some media outlets had it, which was I don't care how hard you throw a ball for.
Yeah.
That to me is how amazing is that to hear? Because again, we don't care. Great, you threw 101, but you walked 5 guys. What is that going to do? So that would be the philosophy on the pitching side, and they've done a really damn good job of that. And the other thing was, the last 2 years I think it was 458 homers they gave up as a combined as a staff. Mm-hmm. And you look at it now, and you're going, okay, I don't think it's going to be this low all year, but right now it's one of the league's lowest. Home run rates against, and that, I mean, that has been preached, trying to stay off the barrel, stay out of the middle of the zone. I don't care how hard, how whatever, it just needs to be off the barrel.
How I'm not going to ask you how close this team is to contending in the National League East. I mean, that depends on a number of things, but
they're far. I'll be honest, they're far.
But do you think because Are they happy with how far back? Is the front office and happy with how far back they are? I guess is how I'd put it.
I would never say Riz is ever satisfied with anything.
Okay,
and, he'd probably be mad at me for saying that. But look, I'm being honest. The Braves are a different beast.
Yeah,
that's a different beast because it is a whole roster, right? Now, their depth is being challenged this year, which has been a little bit different than years past. The Phillies are so deep. They have an organization that has been built for the moment, for the postseason and everything. So, are they far behind? They are, and that's not a negative, because that means it's just how great the Braves and the Phillies have built their systems. And so I think that's what you're trying to attain. You're trying to attain that for a long time. And so keeping the guys like a CJ Abrams, keeping guys like Mackenzie Gore, James Wood, when he does come up at some point this year, Dylan Cruz, those type of guys, you got to have them, and you got to be able to retain them. If you can retain them, as you've seen with the Braves, it's something that could last and linger on for a long time, which is what I think everyone wants.
Kevin, what's the conversation organizationally around Patrick Corbin?
Well, in which regard? Because I know what everyone's gone on with, obviously the contract and performance. I understand that completely, but I'm going to be honest. Like, the organization loves him for one thing and one thing only. He takes the ball every fifth day, and he's a great leader. Like, you could talk about, we always talk about the guys that are running high all the time, that just success after success, and the next thing you know, what happens? Their leadership. Oh, they're great leaders. Because why? Because they're great.
Mm-hmm.
What about guys when they've struggled? What, the true character of guys come out. And with Patrick Corbin, there's no one greater in my mind, as far as watching this guy with all the young guys, the way he treats people, the way he does everything, correctly. He's a pro. Do they want to see more? Yeah, of course, everyone does. But at the same time, like, what's the biggest need right now for starting pitching is availability.
Yeah.
And when he's ready to go every fifth day and those innings, and he, like the other day, you talk about, he gave up 6 runs in the first, or 5 runs in the first on 43 pitches. And he stayed through 4.
Yeah.
Like, what else? I mean, that if I'm one of the young guys watching him, I'm going, oh, I get it. He fought for those guys in the bullpen. I know they still got to cover 5. It's a lot different than 7.
Yeah.
And that to me is the part where I appreciate about Patrick. There's moments he threw 5 1/3 against the Dodgers, and it was great, right? Shut him down. Ended up, he didn't even get the loss in the game. They lost in that game, but you're going, okay.
Is there something he does when he's really good? Is it different? Like, he throws harder, he throws more strikes? Is his breaking stuff better? What's he doing when he's really good than when he's really bad?
Ooh, that's tough. You know what? It's a little bit of the velocity thing. It's a little bit of, like, just the pitch sequencing, I think.
Oh.
More than anything. I think he gets in some favorable counts. Very predictable.
Yeah.
So, one thing plays off the other. I think the cutter and the slider that he brought in this year has mirrored his slider, so it hurts it a little bit at times. And, again, he has to be perfect against a lot of these great teams. And sometimes there's bad luck. Sometimes there's bad defense. They had part of that 5-run game or 5-run inning the other day against the Marlins was CJ Abrams' first error in game 27,
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of things have to go right at the same time, but I just, you feel for someone like that, but you also don't, because of the fact that, like, you watch him and the way he competes, the way he he gets after it. He's not feeling sorry for himself. He wants it. He wants to get better, and doesn't want to be a liability, but he also wants to be a leader, and that's what he is.
Kevin, really good of you to join us, man. Really appreciate it. Great insight.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Sorry about the Zoom.
No
no worries, man.
I gotta restart this thing. Dang it.
It's technology.
Absolutely.
We're all overwhelmed by it in some form at some time. So thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me.
All right,
have a good year.
Well, take care,
all right,
man.
guys.
See ya.
Kevin Frandsen is the Washington Nationals TV analyst, MLB Network Radio, and it says something about Patrick Corbin.
I guess
that the thing with Patrick Corbin is the contract. That's the thing. Is the contract.
Yeah, it's not his fault they gave him a ton of money.
That's what I was going to say. But you know what?
But it is his fault. It's got an ERA almost 7.
Yeah,
that is his fault.
But you know what else it is, though, too? It does say something about the dude that guys are prideful, and it says something about the dude that he hasn't let it turn him into a
I guess
jackass. The Jays
Kevin would know better than I would, because he sees him every day.
The Jays have made a roster move. Nathan Lucas has been recalled from AAA. We talked about that. Addison Barger has been optioned to AAA. So that is the Jays roster move. Also, we're going to be joined by the American League Pitcher of the Month in about 15 minutes.
Nice.
José Berríos. will
That's
join us
awesome.
At 3 p.m.
He's the nicest
So
guy
I look
alive.
forward to that. Yeah, he is
wonderful.
He is a good man.
He is.
He's a good man. So that's there you go. I mean, yeah, just looking at C.J. Abrams and his numbers. His shortstop, man. You're gonna
His shortstop
shortstops get
who's
paid.
well, his shortstop who's left-handed too. I mean that never hurts either. They got something to build around. I think that if you're a Nationals fan, you can go to the park and watch and go,
Well,
man, that's nice.
and you
I
know
kind of
what?
like that.
Given the way the game is going offensively, they do have guys who can run.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, use it to your advantage. The base has never been bigger. They've never been closer together.
So what do
Use
you?
it.
We talked to Kevin Frandsen about Patrick Corbin. We know about Patrick Corbin. We know everything about Patrick Corbin. If you're the Jays,
Mm-hmm.
what are you thinking tonight?
Look right down the middle. He's got an ERA almost 7 because he's not locating. I mean, I know what Kevin said, and he's predictable. And I don't know if the Blue Jays lineup is good enough right now to go up guessing around with a guy trying to figure out what he's going to throw and when he's going to throw it. Look right down the middle. Like that, I think, is when you're facing guys who have been struggling, they struggle because they don't locate. That's why they struggle at the big league level. When you don't locate enough and you're facing the elite offensive players in the world, they make you pay for it. So I'm sure it's not going to be that way. They'll way overthink it. And it'll be 2-0 in the 6th.
Man, oh man.
Well, I mean, until they show you different, why would you think any other way, Jeff? Like, it's. I think they're 30. This will be the 33rd game. 33rd game. I think it's time to start seeing some positive moves forward. I really do think it is. Enough of the, it's too much, and no, enough. Nobody cares anymore. Like, it's about performance and about you going out there and doing the things that you're capable of doing against some teams that you, quite frankly, should be doing it against.
You surprised that Addison Barger is the guy
No.
lopped off?
No, he's got a big swing. Is he a big leaguer? Be real now. It's fun to look at. I mean, he wears the uniform nice.
Do I think he will be a big leaguer?
I'm talking about right now.
No.
Ben?
I think that he will be a utility guy.
I think the big giant swing 3 times don't work here.
That's
They can
what you wonder
they
about.
locate too many pitches in too many different counts
so
for
what
you to
would
be able to do
what
that.
would you? So
No,
you look at the guy physically. What would you do then with his swing?
Nothing. Just I wouldn't do anything different with his swing. He made it to the big leagues, that swing. Just tell him to be quick and not try and be so big. Do that. That's all. Like,
His leg lift and all that stuff.
all
You
right,
got
no
him.
matter. It's got him here. You don't want to be any different. I mean, that's what makes him him. It's just, how do you consistently make contact in different windows of the strike zone? Because you're going to sooner or later have to do that at the big leagues. All right, David Schneider's going through that now, where
Yeah.
you're going to have to. Like, you're going to have to get him off you somehow.
At some point.
Or you're going to have to force him out of that zone to get him somewhere else so you can have success and help and stay in the big leagues. And that's sort of where Addison's at is. And if you give him any piece of advice, don't change the thing. Just, short and quick. Be as quick as you can. Don't be as big as you can. Be as quick as you can. It's just a minor little thing. It's more of a mental adjustment than it is a physical or mechanical adjustment. I never could swing that hard, so my mechanics was not good enough for me to.
He does swing hard.
I would look silly,
He does
and I
swing
only
hard.
like to look silly one time.
So, AJ Pierzynski joins us at 3:25. José Berríos, the American League Pitcher of the Month. He'll be on the other side of the
That's
break.
awesome.
That is good. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Sportsnet. 6:45 is the first pitch tonight on the Sportsnet radio network as the Toronto Blue Jays take on the Washington Nationals in the first of a 3-game series in Washington. You say Kikuchi on the mound.
Yeah.
For Kevin Barker's Blue Jays.
Take
Patrick
it.
Corbin.
I'll take him.
Patrick Corbin on the mound.
Not a quitter, Jeff.
In the Nationals. Saturday, Kevin Gossman against Jake Irvin. And Sunday, again, it's good old TBC against Mackenzie Gore of the Washington
let's hope it's
Nationals.
Alec.
We'll see if it's
Yeah,
Alec.
that's
If it's
hope.
Alec Manoah. The Jays have made a roster move today. We knew that they were bringing Nathan Lucas up from AAA. In fact, with the team, and Addison Barger was sent back to AAA after a respite here. So, or a respite, I should say, after a brief appearance in the majors. Clearly, if Alec Manoah were to join the team, another move would need to be made. But as I said, I don't know if you. I don't know why you would make it today.
No, wouldn't make any sense.
If you're going
Activate
to
him Sunday.
yeah, if you're going to
Yeah.
dispatch a relief arm, I mean, why not? Why not keep?
Yeah,
that
maybe
arm
a
here?
Spino for some length. I mean, they don't have a ton of that in the pen. Like a guy can give you 2 or 3 innings. I mean, you never know what.
I was thinking about the
get from
options.
Manoah.
If it isn't Manoah,
No,
yeah,
it will. I'm not saying it won't be Manoah, but I'm saying if they made another move to bring in a guy who can give you 2 or 3 innings, and a Spino would be that kind of guy. There's a lot of unknowns about Alec. You have any idea what he's going to give you? I'm sure they don't either. I mean, they hope they know.
Yeah.
But they may not. So you may need innings. You don't want to blow up your pen because it's pretty, I know they have some days off, but you still don't want to do that.
yeah.
So
They're
maybe
in
some moves, man.
they're in a part of the schedule now where if you could kind of get cute a little bit with your rotation if you wanted, and because you do have off days coming up. But yeah, I would think, try to keep everybody on track. Get Alec Manoah up here, and as I said, I changed my mind on see where he can go. I
got no other choice.
I would like to have seen back-to-back good starts from Alec Manoah, but I mean,
it would have made you feel warm and fuzzy inside if it would give you one more good start in the minor leagues.
it would make me a little more confident. But at this point in time,
Use him bullets in the big leagues.
well, yeah. And I think we're at that point. We have to ask yourself, really, what are you trying to accomplish? And I think, frankly, the Jays need to get a read on Alec Manoah.
He's been gone long
They
enough.
need to get a read on him.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think maybe I've often kind of wondered if you're Alec Manoah, you'd rather pitch in the majors, right? And I think maybe this guy, there may be an aspect of wanting, and again, we don't know everything that goes into this decision, but there may also be an aspect of wanting to reward the guy here if he's done stuff that you've wanted him to do.
Yeah, I think they're past that.
Well,
It's
I don't know.
performance driven. They feel like he can get it done. They got to make a decision, right? You either put him in the minor leagues, you bring him to the big leagues. He had a good start, bring him to the big leagues. He made a mechanical change, leaving his hands lower, not as much moving around.
If it doesn't work out,
Well, then you move on. I mean, you have to you'll adjust. I'm sure they won't do it after one start unless he goes, a third of an inning, which I don't think he's going to do that. Strike one, be good with the 2. If he's good with the sinker, he'll be fine.
and again,
It's the sinker.
no disrespect to the Washington Nationals, but it is
It gives you a little.
it is the Washington Nationals.
Sometimes he give you a little break, but again, he's still got to make good pitches, pitch ahead, not be so predictable with the slider. Have late break on the slider. Like if he does that, stay within himself, not try too hard. Or it is again, not try too hard. He'd be fine. I root for him. He's been through a lot. It seems like.
Yeah, no, and I think we see it would be when you think back to how much fun it was watching Alec Manoah when he was good.
Yeah, it's hard to be good a lot.
It was
a long period of time. It's hard.
and I'm just looking at
Tough.
now. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the schedule here. So let's say if he starts against the Nationals, his next start.
Rays.
His next start would be at home against Tampa, or I'm sorry, against Minnesota, because they're 2 in Philadelphia. Then you got 3 against Minnesota. Then you got 3 against Baltimore. Then you got 3 against Tampa. Then you've got the White Sox, the Tigers, the Pirates coming up. I mean, you got to run a gauntlet here with the Phillies, the Twins, Baltimore, Tampa, and then you get into the White Sox, the part of the schedule you were talking about, the White Sox, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. But that's still a bit of a gauntlet.
That would help if they score some runs. Am I obvious?
Did you learn anything watching that Baltimore Yankee series, which I think we were both kind of keeping an eye on, one eye on it, one eye on what the Jays were doing. Did you come away thinking anything different?
Judge is really struggling. That's the thing I think that popped out at me was Judge is struggling a little bit. I mean, he's a big dude. Big dudes, I just think when you're that big, finding the strike zone wouldn't be the easiest thing to do all the time. That's why what he's done the last couple of years is so impressive, that it just seems like being able to get it in there, the barrel as soon as he can, and keeping it in there because of his size and how he uses his lower half and where he starts with his lower half. Like, it's very, sort of pinpoint on where he's trying to do each little thing. And it seems like that foot or that toe may be bothering him a little bit more than I think what we expect. I know I was talking to some Yankee people when they were here, and they were saying they sure hope it's not that, but they're sure thinking that it may be that. It's his back foot, right? He's a giant human.
Yeah.
I mean, he's giant. And just the pressure you're putting on that foot's something else. So, yeah, I think that's the thing I took away from him. And the Orioles are really good.
Yeah.
Gunnar Henderson's really, 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 really good.
Yes, indeed.
How's that?
Well, that is good. It was an interesting
great
series,
analysis.
to say the least. Very pleased to be joined now by the American League Pitcher of the Month, the justly deserved American League Pitcher of the Month. José Berríos joins us from Washington. Jose, thank you very much for joining Jeff, Blair, and Kevin Barker. Hey, congratulations on this, man. This is, obviously the start has been terrific, and the numbers are great and everything, but it's always nice when people give you an award, isn't it?
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Thanks God. We won the award, American League Pitcher of the Month. It's a privilege for me. Obviously, I feel happy, proud of that. That way, we've been seeing all the hard work paying off. So, the one beautiful and important thing is just do it again, repeat it again. So that's what motivates myself to keep coming to the ballpark and do my thing, keep working hard and trying to win another month. Pitcher of the month.
That's pretty awesome. Well, the first thing, if you do some digging into your numbers, is what lefties are hitting against you. Jose, I know you know this, but they are hitting .88 off of you. And I would think that if you're going into an offseason, you're thinking about how can I get better against lefties, right? And it just seems like you've done it. Is there one specific thing that you can point the finger to that you think has taken you to the next level against those lefties?
Yeah. First of all, I think before I had on my lefty always doing good against me. So this year I had on my I'm gonna beat them. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna compete on every pitch. Gonna beat them. So that's the way I've been seeing right now. Also throwing good and quality pitches in the sun. Just spread the speed. Also being mid-settle all my pitches is being helped to get them out. So I think first it was the most important thing was being the mentally the mindset.
Yeah, Jose, how about the front hip two-seamer? Is that a tough pitch to throw to a lefty? Do you have to talk yourself into it? Have you had to make mechanical adjustments to be good at throwing that? How's that been trying to master that pitch?
Yeah, I always been able to throw two-seam to arm side, but from last year I've been throwing inside to the lefty, front hip sinker. So that piece being huge for me. Using sinker in both sides of the plate has been helped me and open more, room and space to my off speed and everything. So I think every day, every year we have to get better. We have to learn something, and that's the way I've been seeing, and I've been working on myself that way.
Jose, when in the off season did you really? Now I know you were working on I believe the cutter in the bullpen last year, but when in the off season did you really hone in on attacking, left-handed hitters and doing what you needed to do to attack them? Was it something you worked on right away, or how did you build up to that?
Yeah, you start little by little. I'm start throwing from the mound around, I don't remember, December, something like that, early December, but nice and easy, little by little, like I say. But when we start getting January close to the spring training, that's when we start throwing how we want to attack them, the hitters. We're trying to practicing and perfect trying to be perfect with every pitch and knowing, like, having your mind, knowing when and how we're going to throw those pitches and having that feeling, seeing how the pitch is doing. That's how you create the plan and bring it to the game. So, yeah, I started doing, like, that, specific workout from the mound starting in January.
Jose, the one thing, too, that you notice whenever you start is how your velocity most of the time always is the same, right? I mean, there's some starts where weather and, whether you just don't feel right, those are sometimes up and down. But most of the time, Jose, that velocity on all of your pitches, it looks the same. How have you been able to do that? Have you had to adjust routines off the field? Are you doing something different in the off season just to make yourself sort of look the same all the time and be able to maintain that velocity?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always had in mind, like, we have always room to get better, to learn. So, yeah, in off season, we thought we create a plan and then we execute it. We work on those, weakness area I have and try to get better and stronger. But also during the season, you yourself gonna tell you how you feel, where you at, and depend how you feel and where you at, and like about numbers and physically, you can attack in your routine, like between star by star. So yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I study myself. But also I always been having like love and passion for my work. So it's not an issue and a problem for me. Work out and trying to be better and better every day.
Mm-hmm. Jose, when look, you and Yusei Kikuchi have had terrific months. We know how good the pitching is in this team. The offense has struggled to score runs. How important is it and how difficult is it to try to keep this group together when there's such a split on one side of the ball compared to the other side of the ball? And how do you go about doing that? Just making sure that nobody gets too down on themselves and that, the balance is maintained.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, the number is gonna say, but the game give us the chance every day to do better, to win a ball game. So that's the way I see it. Like we can be like a superhero or Superman like in the team. So that's what we call a team, like a Blue Jay. So I still believe in each one of my players, obviously from the pitching side, also for the offensive side. So the only thing we have to know and have on mind is come to the ballpark, take care of our business, do our work, and that way we're gonna help each other. So I mean, it's early in the year. The pitching side, we've been doing great work last year and this year. So I mean, so far we are the first month, but I still believe in our pitching side. But also our offensive side, they've been working and trying to do adjustments to do better out there in the field. So that's the way I see it. I can be a Superman and superhero. The way I see it is like every guy had to take care about his business and come to the ballpark and do their work. So that's the way I see it. And everybody, including myself, we've been trying so far.
Jose, I talked to Pete Walker quite a bit about controlling the running game and the sort of the efforts you guys have been trying to put in to control that. Coming into the Nationals are second in baseball in stolen bases. I know you say I saw in spring training was sort of working on pickoff moves at second base. If you do give up a stolen base, sort of trying to control that guy at second. Has there been any talks about coming into this series, about trying to control it? And as a pitcher who is sort of not used to doing that, right? It's like, say, a Jordan Romano who late in the game is not really good at slide stepping, but sometimes gives up the stolen base. Is that hard for a pitcher to say, I got to go outside the box here to try and control that, keep that guy at first? Is that a tough thing to do?
I mean, yeah, sometimes that's kind of, part of the game. Like when the opposite team run a lot, we had that on mind, and sometimes we have to change our pitching routine. But also we got on mind we have to still make quality and good pitches. So yeah, we try to make adjustments, try to hold the runner game. I mean, yeah, the runners on the game, but the principal thing here is trying to throw a quality pitch, quality strike, and try to make the hitters out. So, but yeah, we always had a meeting before the games, and we talk about who's running for that team and trying to create a plan for those runners.
Mm-hmm. Jose, listen, we really appreciate you joining us. We're going to let you run. We know you have a couple of meetings to get to. Thanks so much for this, and congratulations. Yeah. It's really well-deserved, and I know it means a lot to you, and we're really, really happy for you. It's fun watching you pitch. Keep it going, man.
Congratulations, Jose.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. So God bless you all.
Yeah, thank you. See you, buddy.
José Berríos of the Toronto Blue Jays, who is just... There's
a reason why he's good.
He's a really solid dude.
There's a reason why he's good. Like, again, this is what I'm saying. I hate to keep bringing this back around to Vladdy, but there has to be those times where you just look at yourself like he did. And the sort of everything that goes into how do you go to the next level? Yeah. We talked about this, right? How can you go from a high 3 ERA guy to a low, consistently 3 ERA guy? And he thinks, right, it's sort of eliminate the windup, be shorter and quicker down the slope, to where he can sort of command everything that he wants to command and get better against lefties. Like, there's a reason why if you adjust this, and this is all going to get better, because that one big adjustment you make, it doesn't just happen because. Yeah. It happens because he went home and went, man, this ain't working. Lefties are hitting .88 off of him when they destroyed him the last year and a half, and for him to be able to correct that, fix it, and be able to throw the things he throws at lefty, it's something special. He's earned that, by the way, that month. He's earned it. Oh, yeah. Good for him. He's a great dude.
And I'm happy. I've been in the guy's corner all along.
You have.
I love the athlete, and when the trade was made, we had Thad Levine on, their general manager, and he was raving about just about Berríos, and they made the deal for Austin
Martin.
Brain cramp. Thank you, Austin Martin.
Where's he at?
And Simeon Wood Richardson. I think he's on the Twins roster now.
Is he?
And then of course gave him the extension. That's going to turn out to be a great contract.
He takes football every 5 days. He's predictable when it comes to that, and I just love that he noticed that something wasn't going right. And he's got to just fix it. And I like that. It's hard it's easier when you've been paid. Yeah. It's harder when you've been around a long time.
A little bit of success, right?
Oh, he's had a lot of success. I mean, he's been around forever. He's gotten paid. He's gotten paid for a reason, because he's had success. But he wants to be better. And you want to be better at a certain age and help your team. And he sees, that the rotation for the Jays can be special. And he wants to be a part of that. I just love that. It's not the easiest thing to do. I tried it a long time ago when I played. But for him to be able to actually, think of it, do it, give the organization and himself tons of credit, because, man, it's must watch when he pitches now. It really is.
Yeah. It's
an athletic freak, too, which is pretty awesome. He's a freak on the mound. Like, he might be the best defender on the field when he's out there. And I would never say, that, but it's close. Close. He's all like first move and ready to field your position, and he does it all.
And he's everybody's a good guy, but he's a really
never heard a bad word about him.
No. Nope. And he's talked to him. He's always.
I doubted him too when he first got here after he had the half a bad season.
Yeah. I think some people did, because he's the type of guy when I went back and looked at some of the stuff that was written about him in Minnesota. He's a guy everybody's been saying. He reminds me of a guy I covered, Javier Vasquez. Guy should win a Cy Young Award. Guy should win a Cy Young Award. Guy should win a Cy Young Award. Guy should win a Cy Young Award.
Yeah.
And you look at him and you go, like, if you were going to craft a pitcher, that would probably be the body you would give the guy. And I think people look at him and he's always kind of left you wanting more. And this year he's delivering.
You know what it is? It's almost like listening to him talk there. He went home and he's like, how do I get lefties out? I got to throw front hip two-seamers to them dudes just to keep them honest. I want to get freezes. I want to get called strikes in there. How do I repeat that? How do I get it in there? I can't do it with the windup I got.
And he's done the other stuff. He's mixed in cutters now. He's developed as a pitcher. AJ Pierzynski is co-host of Foul Territory. He's a World Series champion with the White Sox in 2005. We're not going to talk to him about the White Sox, but we've got a lot of other stuff we want to talk to AJ Pierzynski about.
Yeah, we are. The White Sox?
We've got a lot of other things we want to talk to AJ Pierzynski about. We'll get to that next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, welcome back to Blair and Barker. We just had José Berríos on. He surrendered 2 runs or fewer in 7 straight starts. He just was named American League Pitcher of the Month. That's the most by a non-opener in Blue Jays history. That's pretty good. You talked about his batting average against left-handed batters, 0. That's almost funny, .088. That's the lowest mark among MLB pitchers. Like, that's minuscule.
Lefties don't like the ball in.
No.
Telling you right now.
6:45 is the first pitch tonight. The Jays opening a 3-game series against the Washington Nationals. You say Kikuchi on the mound for the Blue Jays, Patrick Corbin for the Nationals. We'll be doing Blue Jays talk following the game. As always, the numbers, I'll give out the numbers later. I'm just going to write it down. Just going to write it down now. Saturday will be Kevin Gossman against Jay Gervin. Sunday is still good old TBC against Mackenzie Gore.
You know who it's going to be.
If you missed it a little earlier, Nathan Lucas has been called up and Addison Barger has been sent down. So those of you in social media, you still got Daniel Vogelback to kick around, at least for a while.
I root for Nathan. I hope he's good. I hope they give him an opportunity. He's good. He gets a bunch of hits in the minor leagues. Let him come up here and try and get some when he plays.
He has one thing he will not be able to say that they didn't give him a chance because he's been
not really. I mean, when they call him up, they don't play him.
He's been up a couple of times.
Hey, they don't play him.
Anyhow.
Play him if you're going to call him up.
We've been talking a great deal today about Ken Rosenthal's article in The Athletic. And to give you a bit of background, Ken Rosenthal, of course, is a national writer for The Athletic. He's one of Fox Sports' national reporters. I mean, he and Jeff Passan, probably the most wired-in reporters in terms of sources. Very, very, very high-level sources in Ken Rosenthal's case, especially when it comes to this particular organization. And his article today in The Athletic, he ran down teams that might be surprise teams that might be sellers at the trade deadline. And it was typical Ken. It was very measured. It wasn't like, flashing red lights and everything. But he did have a line in about the Toronto Blue Jays, probably not a surprise to a lot of us, that there is there's a reckoning getting nearer for the Blue Jays. He's, of course, right. He was on foul territory earlier today, and we're going to be joined in a few minutes by AJ Pierzynski, co-host of the show. But this is what Ken Rosenthal said earlier today on Foul Territory about the Blue Jays as potential sellers at the deadline.
The team that I'm really watching closely is Toronto because they seem to be reaching a crossroads. Bichette and Guerrero, one more year after this one. They've got some free agents this year. Kikuchi's most prominent among them. Next year, they've got a ton of free agents coming up. Bichette and Guerrero after 25, Jordan Romano, some others as well. Chris Bassett is on that list. At some point, this team either needs to play better or needs to make some hard decisions on the players that they have. And you can make the point right now, well, Bichette and Guerrero aren't really playing all that well, so they wouldn't have much value. Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, if you're not going to sign them long-term, and they might not even want to sign Guerrero long-term right now, then you've got to make some hard calls at some point.
Well, that pretty much sums up what we've been saying for a while. But again, when Ken Rosenthal says it carries considerable weight. AJ Pierzynski is co-host of the podcast. Ken was on Foul Territory. He's, of course, a World Series champion with the White Sox, and he joins us on Blair and Barker. AJ, good of you to do this, man. We just played Kenny's clip from Foul Territory a little earlier. How do you view, from a distance, how do you view the Blue Jays?
I think what Ken said, it's been a lot of potential, but it hasn't been a lot of let's see him go win playoff series and let's go see him compete for a World Series. I mean, you look at their lineup with Springer, Bichette, Varsho, Guerrero, Alejandro Kirk, even when they had Matt Chapman, right? Kiermaier playing an awesome center field. They had Whit Merrifield, who was an all-star. They have a team where you're like, man, and I think Ken calls them paper tigers all the time. They have a team where you're like, man, this team should be really good and they should win a lot of games. And then you look back and you're like, they haven't won anything. They haven't won a division. They haven't won a playoff series where you're like, okay, last year against the Twins, where they scored 2 runs in 2 games and got swept out. Their pitching is so good with Gausman, Berríos, Kikuchi, just everyone, Romano at the back end. it's just a team you think should be better, and for some reason they're not. I can't put my finger on it.
AJ, if you're in the locker room and sort of you hear Ken say that, you know who he's talking to, like you just do. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? You think if you're in the locker room, you hear that?
They've already heard it. I promise you. They know. They know because they listen. As a player in the locker room, you're sitting there and you know where you're at. Like this could be the last run of this team, or this could be, if we don't get it together, guys are going to start disappearing. Guys are going to lose their job. Listen, I was on teams where the manager got let go in the middle of the year, and it sucks. And you look yourself in the mirror and say, well, that's on me. Like that's literally on me. And it's a rough situation. I don't think the Blue Jays are close to doing that with Schneider or anybody, or trading anybody right now. But you look at that division, it's a tough division. I mean, the Red Sox are better than people thought, right? The Orioles and the Yankees obviously are really good. So you're like, okay, and the Rays haven't played very well. So, okay, the Blue Jays right now are like the fourth best team in that division, I would say, maybe the third. But it's a tough spot because the other division teams are playing better too, which you thought you could maybe steal a wild card, kind of like they did last year. But I don't know, man. There's going to be some interesting choices coming down the road here in Toronto.
You ever been on a good team? They fired the manager, I don't know, mid-season. It worked?
No, I've never been on it. When I'm on a good team, the manager was always part of the reason. So I don't know why you fire. I don't know why you fire the manager if you're having a good year.
If they're not living up to it's what I meant by that. Like if they're not living up to, you're trying to shake it up. Did it ever work?
I never was on one of those, but I saw the 2003 Marlins do that. They got rid of, I think, Jeff Torborg and brought in Jack McKeon and won, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, listen, I think the manager loses you more games maybe than he wins you. I've always kind of said that because of some of the moves. But if you have a good manager, he kind of stays out of the way and just lets the players go play. Listen, I know Schneider. I think he's a good guy. I think he does a good job. Listen, I'm not calling for anybody's head. Lord knows. But, it's just a tough spot because what do you do? I mean, they tried to sign Ohtani. Everyone thought, you guys got all excited up there. They thought Ohtani was coming, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, he's not coming. It was the guy from Shark Tank. But where'd that money go? Why didn't they go out and spend it on some other players? They let Matt Chapman walk away, right? They made some moves. They let Whit Merrifield walk away. So, where'd the money go? They just had that money pigeonholed for Shohei, and that was the only money they had? I don't know.
Sounds like it.
AJ, we had Dan O'Dowd on a couple of weeks ago, and it was ahead of the series against Kansas City, and we were talking about Bobby Witt Jr.'s contract. And Dan made the point about people have this fear about, if you sign a young guy to a big contract, you put expectations on him. And he said, for some players, it creates comfort, right? And he was using, and you got to know your player, obviously, but he was using Bobby Witt Jr. He said, if I'm Bobby Witt Jr., this gives me freedom. This gives me freedom more than expectations. Do you think the Jays have misplayed their hand when it comes to Bo and or Vladdy by not getting at least one of them locked up at this point?
Well, I thought they should have got one of them locked up at least, if not both of them.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know Bo and Vladdy like the Jays organization knows them. I also don't know. I'm not 100% sure who their agent is either. So I think one of them has Boris, or maybe both of them have Boris. And
they're not Boris guys, actually.
They're not.
Rare.
Neither
surprising.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you would think you would approach them, and I think they have approached both of them. They just haven't maybe been in the ballpark. But, gosh darn, man, if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I want these dudes signed up, right? I want them locked in. And yes, there are chances that the team misses, but usually on a guy like Bobby Witt Jr. or some of the other big extensions that we've seen on young guys, they usually hit. Now, Wander Franco is obviously a different, whole different animal with what's going on with his trouble with the law. But, usually when organizations make these decisions, they hit. And you would love to see whether it's Bo, Vlad, or both stay at Toronto Blue Jays a long time because, listen, Blue Jay fans are great. When they come to that ballpark, they pack Rogers Center, and they are loud, and they sing that song they sing in the seventh inning stretch. And, they sing "Oh Canada." I mean, it's a special place, and they deserve to have these guys locked up for a long time. Now, will it happen? I don't know. I'm not their agent. I'm not Bo and Vladdy. I don't know what they're asking for or what they're looking for, but I think they should at least lock up one of them. And have they missed out by not doing it? Well, they cost themselves a bunch of money. I know that.
AJ, can you explain the catcher's rule at home plate for me? Like blocking the plate? I have no idea what it is.
No, I cannot.
Do you have any idea?
No, I cannot.
Yeah.
No, I can't, because we had this whole conversation yesterday on Foul Territory, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I just wish we'd go back to the old days. Like, let's just run some dudes over. Like, all right, you're standing in front of me. I'm going to run you over. Let's see what happens. But, I'm old school. I'm, get off my lawn guy. But, no, I just like a little contact every once in a while. Like, that was, as a former catcher, man, that was like I look forward to that. I'm like, I'm going to get run over, but I'm going to catch the ball and you're going to be out. You might hit me pretty good, but I'll be okay with it because I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you the ball. I'm probably going to spike it in your face afterwards, but that's okay. But we're going to have a good time with it, and I'm not going to get mad. It's part of the game. It's just, I don't know. It's like there are certain things I understand, but we need to come up with like a black and white. Like if your foot is on the plate, they're automatically safe. Or if you're behind the plate, like the one with Pete Alonso, like it literally looked like he was giving him about, 4 to 6 inches of room to slide his hand in there. And they're like, oh, he had a lane. He didn't really have a. Now, if he goes in there feet first, he probably spikes the crap out of Amaya, the catcher. And, one of them or both of them is hurt. So it's just a weird one of those funky rules. It's kind of like the baseline rule, right? Where you run into first, and if you veer inside the line, you're out sometimes, but sometimes you're not out. It's a discretionary rule, and it's just tough. And we're going to continue to see it be a problem, especially when we don't have a black and white answer.
Do you think catching is harder in 2024 than it was, say, in 2014, 15, or 16 when you called?
Well, 2014 was when they put in the catcher to no block the plate rule, so that was hard because I was used to standing there and being like, all right, let's go, boys. Like, let's see what happens. You're going to get me, and that's fine. I'm going to get you. So that was hard. But listen, they're on one knee now. They don't care if you miss balls. They don't care if balls in the dirt go by you. I mean, they're just like, hey, you stole two pitches, though. So good job, catcher. And they're like, but I had 3 passed balls and 2 wild pitches and 5 runs scored. Hey, but you stole 3 low strikes for us. So that's great. I don't know. I think the role has changed a little bit. They don't care as much about throwing out runners because the bases are bigger and stolen bases are up. And so it's more about just like, can you steal a pitch or two and can you make your pitcher happy? And the difference is listen, I mean, again, I hate back when I played, but honestly, when I first came up, we tried to go through a lineup or once or twice, just throw one pitch. Mm-hmm. Hey, can you throw your fastball? Mm-hmm. Maybe get a little trouble. You'll throw a breaking ball to get out of a situation or an off-speed pitch, but you're like, hey, can I make it through a lineup one time with just a fastball? And now it's like first pitch, 97, then, ooh, yacker, ooh, right? Ooh, yacker. Oh, nasty split. And by 5 innings, these dudes are like, right? And that's the way the game is played now, from little league to high school to minor leagues. It's just a different game now. And listen, there's a lot of parts about it. I love it. I love the pitch block. I love the bat flips. I love the celebrations. But I'd also love to see starting pitchers be deeper into games. Because when you look at you guys know, when you look at a newspaper, you look online, you go, man, Kikuchi's pitching against Garrett Cole today, or man, it's Gosman versus Cole today. You don't look up and go, all right, Bo Bichette's hitting third today. Let's go watch this game. It's like, no, I get to see Cole versus, José Berríos has started this year, right? It's Cole versus Berríos. Let's tune in to watch those two dudes deal.
Yeah.
Hey, is there such a thing as a team-wide slump? And if there is a team-wide slump, how the hell do you get out of it?
Great question.
I don't know. You try anything, really. Listen, we got, we were in Toronto once. We got in trouble for trying something that was frowned upon a little bit with maybe a blow-up doll, I think, which I had nothing to do with. I walked into it and was there. But I don't know if you guys heard about that or not one time.
Vaguely.
We were in it and we won, so it was great. We got us out of the slump. But, again, I had nothing to do with it. So, other than witnessing it. But you try anything as a team-wide slump. You don't hit, you hit extra. You take infield, you don't take infield. You show up late, you show up early. You go to dinner, you go out, and you have, whatever it takes. Listen, when it's a team-wide thing, it sucks because everybody's involved. Now, if it's just one guy, there's always like the one guy that's not hitting, and you're like, and if it's you're like, oh, it's me. I gotta act happy. We won, even though I'm 0 for 20, right? But then when it's everyone else and they're kind of mad, you're like, dude, cheer up. We won 7 in a row or whatever. But you're the one guy. But when it's the whole team, nobody can look around and say cheer up because it's just a bad feeling when you go to the park every day.
Have you ever had, like the Blue Jays, the pitching side is really good, the offensive side's not. Pitchers start chirping. Like I've been on teams where they, don't be afraid to, come to the party or show up every once in a while. Yeah, have you ever been a part of that, right? Where just sort of tension is. Of course. Yeah, it's early in the season. You sort of, you don't like it. Like you get mad at people. You ever been a part of that?
You don't really get mad at them. You're just like, I've been on both sides of it. And there was one team I played on. We're like, hey, hold them under 7 today, boys. We're going to score 8 every game. Yeah. Right? And they were like, pitchers would give you a nasty look. And then, on the other side, the pitchers would come in and say, come on, we just need 3 runs today, guys. You can do it. And they're like, I'm starting, whoever the starting pitcher is like, come on, boys, give me 3 runs. That's all I need. 1. Sometimes they come and be like, just give me 1 and we'll win. And, but it was never tension. It was more in good spirit, just trying to get the boys fired up. But I get it, man. It's rough because the Blue Jays have been pitching great. And it's not like these guys aren't trying. Listen, they got good guys. It's got to turn eventually. It's just a matter of hopefully it's not too late.
I know that you guys had Tariq Skubal on Foul Territory. First of all, he's awfully good. But I'm just wondering, when you see teams like Detroit, and we saw 7 games against Kansas City, is the pool of good teams in the American League East a little deeper than we may have given it credit for?
In the East or the Central? Which one?
I'm sorry, in the American League in general. Pardon me, in general.
Oh, I think it is. I think the Tigers are better, I think, than what we thought. I think the Guardians by far have gotten off to a better start than we thought. The Royals, I think people thought the Royals would be better. I don't know if they thought they'd be this much better. The Astros are down though, right? So it's like, wait, we got these other teams, but the Astros are not playing very well. The Mariners have been good, right? The Rangers are the defending champions. I mean, the AL East is always a gauntlet, but your Rays in your division are down. So it's kind of about where we thought it was. I don't think anyone predicted, 30 games in, there'd be 4 teams in the AL Central over 500.
Right.
But the AL East we knew was going to be good. We didn't think the Red Sox would be this good, but we maybe thought the Rays would be the Red Sox instead. But the Yankees, we had a feeling were going to be good. The Orioles, obviously, the Twins are coming. The Mariners, everyone thought was going to be pretty good. The Rangers and the Astros. So maybe the teams are just kind of flip names. But it's a tough American League. I think it's more muddled. I think if you look at the National League, I think you could say the Dodgers, the Braves, and probably the Phillies are the 3 best teams. In the American League, I don't know if you can really say, oh, well, this team's better, the best team. But there's a lot of, really pretty good teams.
Speaking of down, what's wrong with the White Sox?
Oh, I don't know. What are they, 6-25?
Yeah, that's close. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even like. You know what? I don't even like talking about them anymore because every time someone brings it up to me, I say something and I just get in more trouble with the organization. So honestly, I don't even. They just aren't very good right now, and they're just in a bad spot. And I hope they get better. And yeah, that's it.
Do you ever want to coach, say for the White Sox, or manage for a team? Would you ever want to do that?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I like my life I like my life right now. I like being at home. I get to work from home. I get to do my Fox games every Saturday and go and talk ball. I got a senior that's graduating next week in high school. I got a junior next week that's going to be a senior next year playing baseball. It's kind of fun enjoying their life. My daughter's about to go play volleyball at Mississippi State. So I'm going to go watch her, get to watch my son play his high school year, and then hopefully go play, college or somewhere else. And it's a pretty good life right now. I mean, plus I don't have that many gray hairs yet. You turn on the TV and these managers and these coaches, man, they all got these gray hairs. They're all losing their hair. It's like, I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, they age early.
Point.
They age early, man.
Wow.
Early and quickly. AJ, really good of you to do this as always, man. Thanks for this. Terrific stuff as always. Be well.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, y'all. Enjoy the weekend, and hopefully the Jays get hot.
Yeah, we hope so. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
AJ Pierzynski, co-host of Foul Territory. It's a great YouTube and show and podcast. Now I had forgotten the blow up doll story. And I don't know how on earth I did, because it was in 2008. Surprise, surprise, when Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah. I played winter ball with him. He was a manager player that I played.
They'd come off an 0-6 road trip. They just scored 9 runs. But before the game in Toronto, somebody, an unnamed player, purchased 2 blow-up dolls, and they had them set up at different ends of the dugout, and they had bats radiating out from them, like on the floor. It was like the players somebody had taken a bat from each player and put it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I gather somebody said something to somebody, and I guess some of the reporters saw it. And anyhow, the bottom line is it was Kenny Williams, who was the president of the team at the time. Ken Williams had a lunch with Ozzie Guillen when they got back into Chicago, and the riot act was read. It was quite a it was quite a it was quite, I wouldn't say it was a scandal, but it got a lot of attention. I completely I'd completely forgotten
Yeah,
about
it just gets
that.
back to that. You're a hitter first. Like, no matter what position you play. I mean, I know sometimes back when I played, where you were, sometimes you called up defenders, and wasn't so much about how much they hit.
Yeah.
Ain't that way no more. You're a hitter first, and when you ain't hitting,
I mean,
boy, you'll try anything. And I'm sure the Jays are there. Like, they're going to try anything. I'm sure
Well, I haven't
they
seen-
wear other people's
try
jerseys
anything.
and-
I'd like to see. I'm looking to see if they're trying anything with the lineup tonight.
Like what?
Well, I mean,
Like what would you like to see?
I mean,
Schneider hitting leadoff? That's John Snyder?
Josh Schneider. Well, I'll tell you what.
What could you do? I mean,
There have been some at bats where I'd rather have John take him than
I played with John. You wouldn't want that.
no. I just still do not see the Blue Jays lineup here. Let me just check. Keep talking, Kevin. I'll see if the lineup's out. I have not seen the lineup yet, which is
What time is it? Yeah, he's talking right now. John is. So
Oh.
the lineup should be out.
okay. Well, anyhow, I haven't seen it.
Check Hazel's Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. That's where it would be.
It's like we're giving you, this is how high quality radio is put
Well,
together.
I mean-
I do see Vogelback and Shapiro and Atkins trending. Which is,
Well, I mean, that's probably Ken that wrote that article, got that started, not the Vogelbach thing. Or why is he still there? I'm sure that's why.
I'm not seeing any.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't.
There ain't much they
Yeah,
can do.
I mean, if it's me, we've talked about the roster and maybe Bo leads off, Dalton Varsho leads off. Yeah, Justin Turner's your best hitter. Do you lead him off just because you get the extra at bat
Not a
with him?
chance.
I mean, I don't. They've really painted them. They've painted themselves into a corner with the construction of this roster, and it's odd because with such an emphasis on multi-position players and utility, and everybody's got to play more than one spot.
Yeah.
And then you look at the lineup and you go, it's pretty static. Other than 5 through 9. The top 4 are going to be the top 4.
Maybe they're asking guys to do things they're not capable of doing right now. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe when you get rid of, key guys, and we went down at Lourdes and Teoscar, not bringing back Simeon and,
that's not just
trading a young catcher like you're doing
but let's
things
look
and
at this,
asking
though.
for.
You made a really good point.
I do sometimes.
Now you did about, think back to spring training. George Springer want to pull the ball more. Bo
Trying to hit more homers.
trying to hit more home runs. So that's 2 of the 4 guys
that
who
matter.
are kind of trying something different, going outside the box, if you want to call it that. Justin Turner, who knows what he's all about and just going to do it, and Vladdy, who we don't. That's 3 or 4 guys are kind of. Maybe they kind of outthought this thing. Is what I might be
there's
saying.
there's no question they've done
Maybe
that.
George, get on base. Bo, go up and give me. You know what? Lead the league in hits.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a bunch of things, right? It's the quality of the talent, and it's just a lot goes into length of the lineup and how easy it is to pitch to certain guys, certain parts of the order, how much, not as hard as you thought it would be in certain parts, that it's easier now. Like, there's how many dudes can consistently hit velocity? That's the one thing too, right? You got a lineup who's very sporadic on what they have to look for. Alejandro Kirk always going to walk to the plate and look for velocity. I mean, consistently, you just don't see him hit it. Why would he look for it? Like, it's one thing to always look for fastball, but what if that dude throws really hard and you don't like velocity? Like, there's a lot of things go into why dudes struggle, and then you face a certain guy who throws a certain arm angle, may put you in a little bit of a funk, and you try and figure out ways to get out of it. And again, it's like that big giant snowball.
Here is the Jays lineup for tonight. Are you ready for this? Toronto, Kevin Barker, are you ready for this?
Am I in it?
Leading off, George Springer. Batting second, Vladdy. Batting third, Bo Bichette. Cleaning up, Justin Turner. Behind the plate, Danny Jansen. Left field, Davis Schneider. Center field, Dalton Varsho. Second base, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Third base, Ernie Clement.
I don't know what you wanted him to do.
Yeah, I kind of figured. You know what I thought? I thought after an off day, maybe beers in the charter flight and all that, and
They're going to make a player?
no,
I got a scratch?
no, I'm going to make a player. No, but what I'm saying is,
What's wrong with you?
I figured
What?
maybe somebody would have.
There's a cleanup hitter who hits 40
listen.
overs.
was it 2015 or 2016 when the Jays went to Minnesota?
Yeah.
And they were scuffling.
Right.
And Russ Martin and Jose Batista go into Gibby's office and say,
Put names in a
blow
hat.
it
and
up.
we'll
No,
pick 'em.
no. Blow it up. I think Batista let off
The
that
order,
game
yeah.
with the order. And it was the player, and Gibby will tell you, it was the players who initiated it. They went in and said, hey, you know what? I mean,
they basically have done that to an extent. There's only so many places does it really matter where Vladdy hits in the top 4? Does it matter where Turner hits? Does it matter where Bo? Does it matter?
but you, okay.
If you,
So don't do
The
anything.
only thing you're saying is don't play Springer. That's the only thing left here.
I would not
That's
be
what
upset
you're.
if
That's what you're talking about. And then I ask, who's playing right and who's who's filling in the blank?
Biggio, Varsho, Schneider.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well, you're losing him. If that's again, they're 32 games in. This is why John and whoever else. Well, they don't other than John. Nobody else talks. But when John does speak, it's
When he does.
When he does speak, it's we believe in him. Well, you believe in him. You're gonna put Kevin Biggio, for the next 7 games because you just can't do it one game. Like you'd have to be married to it for
Why
3 or
can't
4.
you do it one game?
Because that's silly. That's like
If it doesn't
you're
work
just
out, you
giving
go
a
back.
dude off. Like you can sell the guy having a day off. It's tougher to sell it 3 or 4 days in a row now. Old big bad tough Jeff Blair, he wouldn't even walk in there and go, you know what?
No,
because
but
that dude makes 25 large.
Well,
Like you ain't
okay,
doing
well,
it.
if
you're not
we're-
doing it. You're just
if
not.
we're going to base the batting, if we're going to base
You are to an extent.
the
At least this
lineup
part
and
of
who's
the
making money,
this part of the season, you are, and you know it. You know it. They ain't got no other option.
what's he
Who's
going to do?
the other option?
What's George Springer going to do? Go and strike if you move him down in the order? It gives it a different look. It gives it a different look.
Everybody
What's he
wants
gonna
to
do, demand a trade?
Well, everybody wants to hug it out in the clubhouse, be all buddy. You think he's going to be buddy if Biggio's playing for the next 7 days? Again, you can't do it just for one day.
I'm saying if you're going to. I understand you can't hide George Springer, but you got to at some point you got to change it up.
Organization's been yelling and screaming about them top 4.
Well,
did they include Kevin Biggio?
Oh, they can yell and scream. They can yell and scream about the top 4. They
you
can
trying
yell
to sell it to a lineup?
Yeah, I got your top 4 right here. They can.
Happy Friday.
They can yell and scream about the top
Well, they
4, but
have.
if this keeps up. Having said that, they're probably going to sweep the Nationals this weekend, and then Monday it'll be a very positive show.
Mackenzie Gore's pretty good. That dude is throwing that. What's that guy's second?
The guy who's so good in the second.
Irvin stuff. He's real tough on righties. Real tough on them righties. So I'm just saying,
Anyhow.
they're going to have to be really good at pitching.
I got a good feeling it's going to be a big weekend in Toronto sports. Leafs are going to bum rush the Bruins. Probably
1-0.
No, it'll be.
Is it nil?
3-0. No, that's soccer. Probably 3-0 or 4-1, something like. They're gonna. Leafs are gonna wrap it up. We'll have a parade after the first round, and I got a feeling the Jays are gonna get the brooms out here. Their backs are against the wall. The national media vultures are circling. It's a time of reckoning, huh? It's a time of reckoning for the Blue Jays. The vultures are circling. Backs to the wall. They'll come out fighting. Anyhow, we'll be doing Blue Jays talk following the game tonight. And I think they're going to let us back Monday. I think they're going to let us back in the air Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Happy Friday, everybody.